the ball game, retired 1-2-3. And now the Boomers play defense behind Junpei Yoshikawa. And he faces this Y'alls lineup with Brennan Price, the DH, leading it off. Tristan Garcia batting second and playing second. Brian Fuentes batting third, playing third. Ray Zuber in right, batting cleanup. Zaid Richardson, the catcher, bats fifth. Harrison DeNicola, first baseman, bats sixth. Hank Zeisler in left, batting seventh. Lane Hoover back in center field tonight, hitting eighth. Ed Johnson, the shortstop, rounds out the order, batting ninth. Junpei Yoshikawa is a workhorse for this Boomers team. He gets very deep into games. He has 2 complete games this year, 3.24 ERA. His 6th appearance. First pitch. Swing and a miss. Tied Price up. And it is 0-1. Opponent's hitting just .216 against this guy. 0-1. That's down and in. Ball and a strike. Yoshikawa, former Diamondbacks farmhand. Began the season on the inactive list before being activated. 1-1. And he takes low. 2-1.
Yeah, out of his last 4 starts, he's gone at least 7 innings 3 times. 3 of the last 4 starts very good, 1 poor one.
2-1, down and in, and Price ahead 3-1.
8 shutout innings his last time out against Trois-Rivières. 3.24 ERA for a guy who set this franchise's single-season strikeout mark a year ago.
3-1. And Price takes a fastball on the outside corner. Count is full. Second year with Schaumburg. 3-2. Fastball misses a little bit low. It's called ball 4, and Price aboard to begin the bottom of the first inning. In that rough start, Carter, that you mentioned, 5 innings, 6 runs against New Jersey, he walked 4. In all of his other starts, he has walked no more than 1, including a no-walk performance against Sussex County back at the end of June. So this is a guy that does not walk many, but he does issue a walk to begin the game tonight. First pitch, Garcia takes a strike outside corner. Only his 3rd start on the road this year. 0-1. That's down and away, a ball and a strike. Started on the road at Washington and New Jersey, and that's the start in which he had issues, that start against the Jackals. 1-1. He takes outside, 2-1. Garcia's hit the ball well this series. Hasn't had a ton to show for it, but has made good contact. 2-1. Fastball low, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike as Yoshikawa struggles to find the zone.
He's just been unwilling to throw anything over the heart of the plate. He's trying to get those corners. A couple close calls to Price, didn't get some of them, resulted in a walk. So far being careful with Garcia as well.
3-1 on the ground to second base, could be 2. Figueredo fields, second for 1, throw to first, and not in time. Garcia with good speed. The Boomers cannot turn the double play, but Price eliminated at second for out number 1 in the first inning.
Again, a pitcher's pitch for Yoshikawa that time, outside part of the plate. Right on the black, and Garcia reached out. When you do that, more often than not, you get a ground ball where he just did. Middle part of the infield. Only good speed. Staying out of the double play that way.
1 gone and 1 out. And 1 on, excuse me. Fuentes tries to bunt, and he bunts it foul, third base line. 0-1 on Fuentes. Just 2 for 10 this series, but hitting .325 over the last 10 games. As his bat starts to heat up a little bit. Started a bit slow, and then he heated up, and then came back down to earth, and now he's heating up again. 0-1. Fastball strike, right at the knees. Good spot there from Yoshikawa. We've talked about it at different points of the season, but what impresses me most about Fuentes is he goes out there every single day. Very rarely has an off day. 0-2, way outside.
He's always got some good energy too, doesn't he? Whenever you see him, he always wants to greet you. Never a guy who's walking around with a scowl and a cup of coffee in his hand. He is a high motor kind of guy, not only on the diamond, but off the field as well.
playing in his 63rd game today. 1-2. Check swing, leaves it down and away, and no swing on the appeal. 2-2.
This is game number 66. Do the math. He's only been out there, hasn't been out there, what, 3 times all year?
He didn't start one of those games, so this is his 63rd game and 62nd start. 2-2 on the ground to short, few steps to the right. Craig fields that, second for 1. Throw to first, and not in time again. Prater at first thought he had the double play that time, but the Boomers denied again. But another fielder's choice ground out, that time 6-4. Garcia out at second base and 2 gone in the first inning. Each team still trying to score.
Yoshikawa's made a couple good pitches in this inning. Again, working down in the zone, outside part, nipping that lower outside corner to Fuentes. And these Y'alls hitters are being as patient as they can. Eventually, they just end up hitting it on the ground.
First pitch skips away from the catcher Uliana, backhand side, and up to second base Fuentes goes in. A runner in scoring position for the Y'alls, the first man for either team to reach second base today. Boomers went down 1-2-3 in the first inning. And now Zuber bats with Fuentes at second base. 1-0. Called strike outside corner. Well, to say this guy is hot would be an understatement, hitting .353 this month. Had 2 hits and a run batted in yesterday. 2 runs batted in, excuse me. 1-1. Takes just outside. Zuber's dad is in attendance today, making the trip up from Owensboro. He's going to follow the team down to Evansville as well, taking a few games there. Evansville and Owensboro relatively close. 2-1. Slapped foul to the left, out of play.
Pretty wild. The Y'alls waited until, what, the beginning of August to go to Evansville for the first time?
The very beginning of August. It'll start August 1st.
Played only 1 series this year. It was in this building back in late June, so the Y'alls will play a couple of teams a lot in the month of August and a backlog of games.
2-2. Swing and a miss. Right over the top of a nasty changeup, and Yoshikawa has strikeout number 1, and he has out number 3 in the first inning. We move on to the second, and the game he had yesterday, 5 for 5 with a few stolen bases. Richardson outdid him on Friday, but not by much. 6 for 6 in that game. First time a Frontier League player has 6 hits since 6 years ago. First pitch to him from Yoshikawa is a strike called outside corner. We've talked about it bits and pieces over the course of the last couple of weeks, but especially in hindsight of the All-Star break. 0-1, down and away. If Richardson had spent all season with the Y'alls, and you take out that rough start to his season with Quebec where he appeared in 6 games and went 1 for 16, this guy's an all-star, especially for the position he plays, no question about it. 1-1. Cut and miss there, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, the catching group in the West Division has not been particularly strong this year, at least not offensively. Melvin Navoa of Washington got a nod for the All-Star game. He spent some time on the injured list and still made it.
1-2 skips in there.
All because he was probably the best slugger out of the entire group. Well, the Y'alls candidates, their 2 opening day catchers no longer with the team. Jackson Pritchard, Cooper Edwards, neither one of those guys could even hit 200 between them. So with Richardson, you've gotten a big offensive surge.
2-2. He takes on the inside corner. He knows it. That is strike 3. Good spot from Yoshikawa, and with pinpointing location like that, you can see why he set the franchise record for strikeouts last year.
Yeah, Yoshikawa last year, a lot of innings, up near the top of the team in that category, 112 2/3. If you go over 100 in the Frontier League, you're officially workhorse status.
First pitch swinging for DeNicola, line drive to center, and that's in for a base hit. Played in the gap in right center by Milazzo. And on the first pitch, DeNicola sees. He extends his hitting streak now to 9 games with a 1-out single.
this at bat, the Y'alls would love to get going in this lineup. These coaches are all about DeNicola. They were happy to get him back at the beginning of the year, and they like him defensively. The offense has been there at times, spotty at others, but ending July the right way.
First pitch strike to Zeisler, who takes on the outside corner. No score yet between these two teams, and a runner on first base for the Y'alls in the second inning. DeNicola now 5 of 19 against Schaumburg this year. 0-1, he takes a little bit outside. Zeisler playing in his third game. He has started in the outfield all 3 games of this series. Officially signed on Thursday, but not in the lineup until the next day. 1-1. Line shot right field. That's a base hit. He tomahawks that to the outfield. DeNicola around second, on his way to third. The throw goes there. He's in safely. Now the throw to second. Zeisler stumbles into second, and he's out. Holt made the throw to second base. Figueredo applies the tag. And Zeisler, who stumbled into second base, is called out on the tag. So a single for Zeisler. He's thrown out at second trying to extend it. DeNicola safe at third with now 2 outs.
Yeah, close call. I think that Zeisler could have helped himself with a little bit of more of a graceful entrance to the bag. Simple slide there might have saved him, even if it was a close play. At the very least, you give yourself a better shot.
First pitch to Hoover, and he takes a strike. That was just kind of a funky way to go into second base. It looked, at least from my perspective, Carter, he was indecisive whether to slide or stand up. And that little stumble resulted in him being tagged out. 0-1. And Hoover takes a strike on the outside corner.
9.54 the putout goes, not one you see every day.
We've had a few of those, not the 9 to 5.4, but funky out recordings. 0-2. Ground ball to short. Craig waits for it. Around his belt buckle he fields and throws to first and just gets Hoover by a half step. He tried to leg that out to get the run.
He has looked good today. A walk and 2 hits through 2, no runs for the Y'alls. And Johnson, in his 6th career start in a Y'alls uniform, takes ball 1 down to begin his day at the plate. Johnson hitting .300, small sample size over his first couple games, a pair of stolen bases. On the 1-0, he takes inside this time, and the count 2-0. Johnson, 6 for his first 20 at-bats, 1 run driven in, a couple doubles. On the 2-0 here, he grounds a ball to third base. Might have broken the bat. Holt guns it across with good time, and that's out number 1. Oh, the Boomers' workhorse back on the mound. Anthony, excuse me.
No, I cut you off there. That's my fault. I was just going to say, you walk that first batter of the game and you feel as if Yoshikawa might run into a bit of trouble. The only really struggle he's had this year is when he walked 4 guys. Maybe thought that was setting something up for today, but hasn't been the case.
A drive by Brennan Price hit to deep left field. Dawson going back, and that's gone. Brennan Price continuing his reign of terror from the leadoff spot. 4th home run leading off in his last 5 games, and number 17 on the year cuts into the deficit. A solo shot makes it 3-1 here in the 3rd inning.
It's really been unbelievable. I was talking to Jamie Bennett yesterday as well about Brennan Price a bit, and he just kind of laughed and said, we always find a way to give this guy a home run or 2, don't we? And that's his 3rd of this series.
Strike 1 called outside corner on Tristan Garcia. 3rd batter of the inning in a 3-1 game. The Y'alls have answered with a run. 0-1 fouled high in the air left side by Garcia. It's 0-2. Well, Price has had a very good series to this point, including that home run. Now 5 for 10 with 3 homers and a double to his credit. 0-2 pitch. Caught and a miss for Garcia, who's not faring nearly as well. 0 for 2 today, 2 for 13 in the series, and now 3 for his last 25. He takes to the dugout, out number 2. So for Price, this series' stats and the leadoff stats overlapping a little bit, but he has done big-time work since moving up to that spot in the order. Strike called on Brian Fuentes, who has been a middle of the order bat practically the entire year. 0-1 from Yoshikawa. Check swing, pitch down low and away, a ball and a strike. Fuentes hitting with no one on base and 2 down in a 3-1 game. Home runs the only scoring today. 3-run shot for Schaumburg, solo homer for Price for the Y'alls. Both in the third as Fuentes takes inside 2-1. Yoshikawa on the mound, a native of Suita, Osaka, Japan. And he pops up Fuentes here, right side, playable for Prater, looking right up into the sun. And he backs up to make a catch in foul ground, out number 3. If the Y'alls get a run, who else but Brennan Price to go deep and cut the lead to 2. It's 3-1 Boomers to life. The Y'alls with some work to do, not only to get back in the game, but to just stem the tide. This momentum tidal wave that Schaumburg has been riding the first 2 games and change has certainly gained in height as Ray Zuber takes a strike on the outside corner to begin the bottom of the 4th. Shunpei Yoshikawa, Boomer starter, slated to a 4-run lead, and he fires ball 1 up and away of 1-1. Schaumburg 5 runs so far today, no steals so far. They have done it with the bats, not with the legs, as Yoshikawa fires outside and low, 2 balls and a strike. For this right-hander, fastball, slider, splitter, curveball. That fastball up and away, 3 balls and a strike to count. Well, the splitter, a good pitch for him. 20 games a year ago, regular starter, 5.51 ERA. He was hit around a bit. And he fires a strike outside corner on Zuber. He's been kissing that outside corner the whole game with his pitches, especially the left-handed hitters who have rolled over a couple of them. Zuber unhappy with that call, but the count full with no one on, no one out. Schaumburg shifting him. A left-handed pull shift with Figueredo deep in the hole. 3-2 is line foul left side. Holt the only man on the left side of the infield. Zuber with a lot of room if he can go the opposite way, but Yoshikawa with good location today has made that difficult. Not an overpowering right-hander. He's only sitting about 90 at the hardest. On the payoff pitch to Zuber, he takes low and in. Yoshikawa tried the splitter, and Zuber awarded first base with a free pass. Just the second walk given out by Yoshikawa today. Zuber continuing his good series, 2 for 3 yesterday with a pair of RBIs and 2 steals, just to put a cherry on top. He's 0 for 1 with a walk today, getting on base again. And here's Zade Richardson, 0 for 1 with a strikeout, but a good bat in the lineup who's been hitting hot as well. First pitch outside to him, 1-0 the count. Well, Richardson has yet to make an out in this series. 6 for 6 in game 1, didn't play yesterday. A home run, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs. On the 1-0, he takes down low. Liliana wanted to throw to first, but thought better of it. It's 2-0.
I'm not sure he had a good grip on the baseball. He kind of pounded the ball in his mitt after nearly throwing. I think he wanted to make that throw. Just didn't get a good grip, and with the 4-run lead, better to eat it and go to the next pitch.
Zuber, good speed, good runner. Richardson ahead in the count 2-0. Ray stays put, and it's a strike called, outer half. Zuber, 34 steals on the season, including a couple in this series. Good running count here on 2-1. The Y'alls need some runs, down 5-1 here in the 4th inning. 2-1 pitch. Zuber again stays put, and the pitch low. Richardson laying off. Another splitter from Yoshikawa, who gambled with the off speed in a fastball count. 3 balls and a strike now on Richardson. 3-1. Fastball inner half, and Richardson fouls it off. Got on his fists, and the count runs full. Well, Yoshikawa, a Japanese native, and like you said earlier, Anthony, an Arizona Diamondbacks farmhand for 2 seasons, interrupted by COVID. 31 games, 27 starts, 2019 and 21. Payoff pitch fouled away by Richardson again back at the plate. He was a decent player in the minor leagues, 4.61 ERA in 125 innings. Struck out 120 more than he walked. Made his spot start in AAA. For the most part, a lower minor league kind of player. But how he got there in the first place is an interesting story in of itself. Zuber at first takes off from the pitch. It's up high to Richardson. And no throw by Uliana. Back-to-back walks for the Y'alls to begin the fourth. And Yoshikawa, a guy who has walked more than one in just one of his previous starts this year, is now up to 3 today in a 5-1 game.
Yeah, and that 4-walk performance, we talked about it earlier, that was the one game he's gotten shelled this year. Against New Jersey, a good lineup. However, you don't want to walk 4 batters in a game. That's a recipe for disaster.
And now here's Harrison DeNicola, hot hitter in the lineup, who takes outside, ball 1. DeNicola hitting .241 on the season, and that number may not whet your appetite for this right fielder slash first baseman, but over his last 9 starts, not including today, hitting .282. And he takes a strike at the knees here, a ball and a strike to count. Slight shift put on here by Schaumburg. A lot of room on the left side as Figueredo plays deep in the hole at second. Lead runner Zuber, Richardson behind him at first, and the 1-1 fouled off by DeNicola. Just to get back to Yoshikawa, this is a guy who played his high school ball in Japan, but then he was signed by Arizona as a free agent in 2018. He became just the second player ever to bypass the Japanese Professional Baseball League, NPB. First guy was a guy you may be familiar with, Anthony, played for the Red Sox back in the day. 1-2, lined into right, hard by DeNicola, right to Fitzgerald, who drops it. He had to reach up to make the catch and could not hang on. Everybody's safe, and Zuber and Richardson move up. DeNicola at first on a zany play in right.
It was hit so hard, and it was hit right at Fitzgerald. And keep in mind, to his defense, more of a first baseman than an outfielder. He's a plug-and-play guy in right. He's played first the first couple of games of this series and out there in right field today. But that was hit so hard and right at him, he didn't get a good read on it. Started in, and then he had to go back. And by the time he realized he had to go back, it was over his head. He got a glove on it, and he dropped it. Still an error. Ball that needs to be caught, roundabout way, but a tough ball to judge.
An E9, and not a pretty one in right for Kyle Fitzgerald. The Boomers with the 5th fewest errors in the Frontier League, but that perhaps a costly mistake. Bases loaded, nobody out. Bottom of the 4th for Hank Zeisler. Solid series for the rookie, and he takes a strike on the outside part to begin this at bat 0-1. Well, the first guy to ever come to the States and bypass the Japanese pros, Junichi Tozawa.
I was going to ask, yeah, you kind of left me on a cliffhanger there.
2013 team with Boston. Got that ring. 0-1 pitch to Zeisler's down low, a ball and a strike. Well, that helped usher in a rule. Of course, the U.S. and Japan with the posting system for Japanese pros who want to come over. Major league clubs have to first negotiate for the rights before they can sign a player. Tozawa rule introduced for those who bypass the Japanese pros. Zeisler sends a drive into left center field. That splits the gap. Over to pick it up, Milazzo, as Zuber comes in to score. Richardson hot on his tail, and the Y'alls cut the lead down to 2. Hank Zeisler with his second hit of the day, and the rookie drives in a pair against Shunpei Yoshikawa.
Walks will kill you. We've talked about it all week. What did we say about Jackson Hickert in game 1 when he walked a few in the first inning? We talked about it yesterday as well in the first inning, or excuse me, on Friday as well, a few walks that came in to score. Walks will kill you, and Yoshikawa dealing with that right now.
5-3 as Lane Hoover takes ball 1 down low and in. Harrison DeNicola moved to third on that single, and then Zeisler advanced to second on the throw. He stands there. 2 in scoring position in a 5-3 game. The Y'alls have the tying run at second. Down 5-1 entering the inning. And on the 1-0, Hoover slaps the ball towards short. Craig bluffs the runner back to second, and Hoover beats it out. Harrison DeNicola scores on the play, and not very well done at short. by Alec Craig. Good base running by Zeisler at second to deke him off second and draw a bit of hesitation. That leads to a run. It's 5-4.
Yeah, not exactly sure what Craig is doing. Maybe he thought he had a chance to get Zeisler, or maybe he was just trying to keep him at second base, but a look would have done enough, and you can't fake a throw to second with Hoover running down the line.
So Zeisler still at second, Hoover at first on the infield single. Ed Johnson now at the plate, shortstop in the number 9 hole in a 5-4 game. The Y'alls have scored 3 in this inning. Still no one out against Yoshikawa. 1-0 grounded off the plate by Johnson. It's 1-1. 2 walks, an error, now 2 hits for the Y'alls in this inning. And they've shown some good fight after falling behind 5-1. The Boomers up to 30 combined runs on this series. First 2 games and 5 today. They have just unleashed an offensive onslaught, but the Y'alls undeterred today. 1-1 popped up by Johnson, out of play for Prater, who gave it a look at first. And it's a ball and 2 strikes. So for Yoshikawa, the walks in this start, more than usual. The damage against him, more than usual. 4 runs in already for a guy who has a complete game to his ledger this year. 8 innings of shutout ball his last time out. But limited success here today against a scrappy Y'alls lineup. Zeisler, the lead runner at second, Hoover at first, both with good speed. And on the 1-2, Johnson fouls it back at the plate. A ball and 2 strikes the count. Now Yoshikawa undrafted in Japan out of high school. He then played in the industrial leagues in Japan, sponsored teams for corporate entities, more or less the independent ball equivalent of that country. And then made his way over to Arizona. Now in Schaumburg the last couple seasons. Johnson takes strike 3. A good pitch from Yoshikawa there for the first out of the inning. Still runners at first and second in a 5-4 game.
Gonna get a mound visit here for Yoshikawa ahead of Price. Of course, Price took him deep last at bat. It's an interesting story with Yoshikawa. I'm glad you brought it up. I didn't know Tazawa was the first guy. You mentioned a Red Sox from a few years ago, and they've had a few. The Red Sox have a very heavy scouting presence in Japan. They signed Masataka Yoshida this past year through some connections they've had. They've had Hideo Nomo, Junichi Tazawa, Hideki Okajima, Uehara, Koji Uehara, longtime guy in the major leagues, played for the Red Sox, won the World Series in 2013. I didn't know Tazawa was the first guy. But of course, in Japan, naturally, they're going to get a lot of their guys plucked over to MLB. You want to try to hold on to your guys and have them be stars in their own country first, and then if they're good enough to go to the major league ranks, then that's going to happen eventually. But that's probably why that league or that rule came into effect, is they want to try to keep their own guys first.
Brennan Price at the plate. He takes down low and in, and that pitch looked like it got a piece of him on the foot. Home plate umpire David Blanchet reaching out, and Price does take first, hit by the first offering. Hoover on to second, Zeisler on to third, and this is a very messy inning for Yoshikawa. Now Price, limited damage after a home run his last time up, but stinging from that one. He'll take the base, and they're loaded up for Tristan Garcia. Still only 1 out in this inning.
This has become a disaster for Yoshikawa here in the 4th.
Tristan Garcia at the plate, bases loaded. Infield in at the corners, and the first pitch hacked foul left side, 0-1. Well, what Junichi Tazawa did back in 2008 to go right to the majors and bypass the Japanese pros would affect Yoshikawa if he chooses to go back to pitch in Japan. He would have to sit out for 2 years before returning to pitch in that country because of the rule in effect since 08. Up high and away, 1-1 the count. And these types of rules, that and the posting system for the majors, like you said, very much in effect to try to establish a working relationship between the two professional leagues so that the MLB doesn't have quite a relationship to the sense that it just picks players out of that league. Ground ball is short by Garcia, and a double play ends the inning very quickly, cutting off the offensive surge.
In search of the sweep. Brian Fuentes to lead it off for Florence. Fuentes, Zuberer, and Richardson facing Yoshikawa, who ran into really his first trouble of the game last inning, walked the first two, and then an error behind him allowed 3 runs to score for the Y'alls. Pitch to Fuentes, down and away. Fuentes, Zuberer, Richardson, and the 1-0. Fastball a little bit low. This has been a productive part of the order. Fuentes reaching on the fielder's choice in the first inning. Zuberer walked, Richardson walked. 2-0, misses inside. Three balls and no strikes. Here's the pitch. That's on the inside corner, strike one. We've talked about Yoshikawa over the course of this game and his journey to the United States. 3-1. Fastball strike on the outside corner, 3-2. And his relationship to Junichi Tazawa. And the reason that rule is in effect, 3-2. On the ground, hard hit, one hopper to Holt. He snares that to his left, long throw across in time. And Fuentes retired on the first out. You mentioned that because Tazawa and Yoshikawa bypassed the professional ranks in Japan, if they were to go back, they would have to sit out 2 years. Junichi Tazawa right now is pitching in that Japanese Industrial League. He is ineligible at the moment to pitch for the professional leagues. First pitch called a strike to Ray Zuberer with 1 out in the 5th. He's pitching for ENEOS of the Japanese Industrial League. 0-1, this is outside. Now granted, Tazawa is 37 years old. He's probably nearing the end of his career. Last appeared in the majors a few years ago. 1-1, lofted foul to the left, out of play. But if nothing else, it validates your research, which I had no doubts about anyway. Tazawa had a good minor league career, a good major league career, I beg your pardon. Appeared in 388 games. Won a World Series with Boston in 2013. 1-2. Leaves it high.
And you can understand why a rule like that is in effect, so that major league clubs aren't just hawking the minor leagues in Japan, the industrial leagues, and getting all the talent for themselves.
2-2, chop to first, and an easy play for Prater. Takes that himself, and 2 gone.
If you want to grow baseball around the globe, you can't just take all the amateur talent out of a country and expect the professional league to thrive. So as time has gone on, I think the relationship between those two entities have strengthened a lot. And you have success stories like all the guys you mentioned who played for the Red Sox and so on.
First pitch to Richardson. He swings and grounds it weakly to short. Right to Craig. He fields that and throws to first in time. Well, there have been plenty more Japanese pitchers than just for the Red Sox. Plenty more players in general. Yoshikawa, one of 2 6-game homestands remaining this year. Y'all's back home end of next week, then back on the road, and then they start another 6-game homestand after that, as the regular season is in the last third. Pitch to DeNicola to begin this inning is grounded right back to Yoshikawa. It's right at his feet. He can't find it. Throws to first. It's a little wide, but Prater holds the bag. Right off the foot of Yoshikawa, and it landed right at his foot, but he didn't find it. Usually that's a ricochet, but it landed right in front of him.
His own brain played a little trick on him because it hit him in the foot so hard, he looked over to third base expecting the ball to have bounced there already. Instead, it just died at the mound at his feet. Good presence of mind for Yoshikawa to grab it. He was all smiles after that, clearly not hurting too badly from that.
Pitch to Zeisler is down and in.
He's been impressive today, I have to say.
Yeah.
Even with the 3-run inning.
1-0. And Zeisler takes a strike. Well, if baseball doesn't work out, he has quite the soccer career potentially in line with that stop there. Talk about ball control. 1-0 is up and away.
Absolutely gorgeous first touch. Just outside the box.
Yeah, we haven't seen the kicking power yet, so that is to be determined. So maybe an outside back in his future, who knows? 2-1, and that's low. Well, if he ever decides to go back to Japan and he has to wait 2 years, you know, play a little Japanese soccer and then get back into baseball, who knows? 3-1, and Zeisler takes a strike.
He's had some of the best control that I think we've seen out of any arm so far this year in the Frontier League. Sometimes you see guys who have the velocity, they have the movement, but maybe not the control.
3-2, reached for and fly down the left field line. Long way to go for Dawson. Gets to the line and cannot make the play. He runs out of room.
Yeah, this is a high walk, high offense kind of league where the pitchers usually have something they do pretty well. Control not always the case, but for Yoshikawa, he doesn't walk a lot and hasn't really done that today, save for cold start to this game, a couple later on. But when he's needed a strike, he's always gotten it. He's worked the corners, pitching very well on the outside half to left-handed hitters. A lot of foul balls to the left side.
3-2, Zeisler rips it, but right to second base, and Figueredo makes the grab. Hit it right on the screws, but right at Figueredo at second for the second out.
He reminds me very much of a guy, current Japanese pitcher in the majors, who wears a number in the teens, kind of a slender guy. Yoshikawa is 6'2", 175. Even the same colors on the jersey now. Current Orioles player. Maybe not all that well known, but Shintaro Fujinami just came over from Japan. Same kind of drop and drive style. Much harder thrower with Baltimore now.
0-1 misses outside to Garcia. It's 1-1.
Started with the A's, recently traded for by Baltimore.
1-1. And check swing, but called the strike anyway.
The motion and the body type kind of remind me of him.
1-2. Slapped on the ground to third, off the glove of Holt, who dives for it, couldn't knock it down. Stayed fair inside the bag, ricochets to foul territory, and a double for Garcia. That ball went into foul territory and off the sidewall. Nice effort by Holt, but he couldn't knock it down and glove it, and Garcia has himself a double. Lane Hoover, I beg your pardon, excuse me.
Same kind of hit. Garcia does a lot of that same work, and that's what good speed will do for you for Lane Hoover. And that never takes a day off. You knew that was going to be a very tough play for Holt right off the bat. He did everything he could. Stung too hard on too high a hop to make a diving play.
When they wear those socks high like that, they look like an identical player. Similar stature, similar style in the box, but I beg your pardon, Lane Hoover with that double. And he's at second base for Ed Johnson. Ed Johnson, the batter, 0 for 2 today. First pitch to him, and he chops it into the Boomers' dugout. Not to say that every single Japanese pitcher is the same, but they all have very similar motions. Something that is certainly taught over there in Japan. Of course, a little bit different, pitcher to pitcher, but every windup is similar. 0-1. Fly ball right center, tailing away from Milazzo, but he has plenty of speed to get there and make the grab. And the inning is over. So the sixth has come and gone, and neither team scores in the sixth inning. We go to the seventh. In a 6-4 game, the Boomers in front.
And just 9 outs away from a series sweep here in Florence. Brennan Price leads things off for the Y'alls in the seventh against Shunpei Yoshikawa. Right-handed starter for Schaumburg, now with an 11-run lead. He's on for inning number 7. Swing and a miss by Price, and the count quickly 0-2. Well, Yoshikawa with 3 starts this year out of 5 where he has gone 7 or more innings, so this is a useful weapon for manager Jamie Bennett. Up big, he can eat an extra inning or 2 and fresh the bullpen up for the upcoming week of games. Price fouls that away, it's 0-2 still.
Because keep in mind, Schaumburg no off day tomorrow. They cannot reset the bullpen really with an off day until a week from tomorrow.
1-2 pitch. Check swing for Price. Called strike 3. David Blanchet, the home plate umpire, ringing him up. And Price with the first out he has made today. Walk, home run, hit by pitch, but he takes back to the dugout for the first time in this game. Strikeout number 5 for Yoshikawa on the day, and Tristan Garcia at the plate. Called strike, outside corner. The Y'alls now with 40 runs allowed in this series. 0-1 line back up the middle by Garcia, a base hit. A 1-out single in the bottom of the 7th, and perhaps Garcia warming up after a short slump. 0 for 3 to start his day, 3 for his last 26 coming into that at bat. But a base knock puts him aboard here in the 7th. Brian Fuentes now the batter. Yoshikawa looking back Garcia at first. First pitch to Fuentes. Down low, ball 1 with 1 out. The Y'alls trailing by 11. 15 runs on 15 hits for the Boomers, and the Y'alls have made 3 errors in a very sloppy series finale. Up high and in the pitch, Fuentes takes it, 2-0 the count. 14 hitters came to the plate in the 7th for Schaumburg. 9 of them scored on 7 hits and an error. Boomers left 2 on base as Fuentes takes a strike, 2-1. So the Y'alls double-digit runs allowed in each of the games in this series. 15 in game 1, 10 yesterday, now 15 again today. 2-1. Fouled back, 2-2. And this pitching staff for Florence hopefully reaching some point of critical mass. They have really hit a nadir here lately. Rocky showing against Quebec, and the bottom has completely fallen out here against Schaumburg. 2-2, chopped back to the mound. Yoshikawa waits, and a strong delivery for out number 2 of the inning.
I'd say that's a euphemism, to put it lightly there, Carter. This pitching has not been good, to say the least. 17 runs allowed in a game against Quebec. All right, 13 runs allowed, excuse me. They scored 17. That was the highlight of the homestand so far. And some late game blunders by this bullpen. And then this, 15 runs today. They allowed 15 the other day against Schaumburg as well.
Strike call to begin the at-bat for Ray Zuber. Cleanup man hitting with Garcia at second and 2 down. Yoshikawa's 0-1 is on the outside part. Strike 2, and for David Blanchet, the home plate umpire, he has been rewarding these pitchers with the corners. Bobby Brabrand was getting some of those calls. Yoshikawa has been living on the edges today. Save for a 3-run 4th inning, he has been very sharp this afternoon. 0-2 is up high, shoulder high for Ray. And it's a ball and 2 strikes with 2 down. Coming in it today, only 3 teams in the Frontier League owned a team ERA over 6. Florence in last place in the West. Trois-Rivières second to last in the East. And Empire State with the worst record in the league in last in the East. 1-2, called strike 3. Well, the Y'alls not helping that figure. 15 runs allowed today, not all of them earned. And the offense, too much to expect of them to keep pace. 15-4 your score after 7.